What's up, YouTube? This is Too Raw for TV. All right, so you guys may remember, oh man, about a month ago, I guess, going on a month ago, the big conversation in sports talk on social media was the perception that Gilbert Arenas brought up that in NBA locker rooms that T-Mac was just as good as Kobe Bryant about 20 years ago. Maybe about 2003, 2002, 2003, 2004, right? And, you know, a lot of Kobe Bryant fans felt some type of way about that, right? And I did a video, which Gilbert Arenas actually did a response to, where I said, look, I agree that there was a legitimate debate between Tracy McGrady and Kobe Bryant. That's, for some reason, it's like people didn't hear that part. I didn't object to that. There was a legitimate debate as to whether or not, from basketball fans, as to who was better, Kobe or Tracy McGrady. Back then, they both were great primary scorers, explosive, extremely skilled. You could argue Tracy, I think, I wouldn't even argue, Tracy had more natural ability and athleticism, but Kobe, perhaps and probably is the hardest working basketball player I've ever seen, was able to supersede what others had more as far as natural overall God-given ability. He became one of the greatest players in the history of the league, period. My stance on that was Kobe separated himself from Tracy McGrady after Tracy left Orlando, got help in a Hall of Fame big man in Yao Ming. Yes, Yao Ming had health issues. Yes, Tracy McGrady had health issues. But the fact that he could still not get out of the first round after having help, and not only that, having some poor performances in the playoffs, while Kobe Bryant became a one-man wrecking crew after the departure of Shaquille O'Neal in 2004 from the Lakers, and helping to turn Pau Gasol, who was I think a one-time All-Star who couldn't win a playoff game, into a Hall of Famer and won back-to-back titles and went to 3 finals in a row without Shaq. Plus, and I played the video evidence to prove what I had to say, they were comparing Kobe to Mike when Kobe was 24 years old. They were saying he was on a path accelerated compared to Jordan, which I didn't necessarily agree with, but I knew they were doing that. But you would think Shaq would have his back about Kobe being non-pareil when it comes to these others outside of MJ, but he doesn't. And this kind of has flown under the radar. I haven't seen a lot of people do videos about this, right? Because I've been talking about it earlier, but I was kind of had some things I had to take care of, right? Shaq recently said that he is of the belief that Tracy McGrady I want to take umbrage on that. I know I'm going to get 6 with Steph. We all know in that recent Bleacher Report top 100 list, Steph was in front of Kobe, right? So him saying, I know I'm going to get 6 with Steph, it's kind of like him saying, well, I would do even better with Steph Curry if he was my teammate and not Kobe. So it's almost like he's kind of obliquely co-signing with the Bleacher Report ranking. You know what I'm saying? Maybe not totally clear and making it totally transparent, but he's sort of doing that. You know what I'm saying? So this is crazy. Like, okay, look, man. That's how Shaq feels. Fine. That's how Shaq feels. But to me, I've always felt like Shaq feels a little slighted from Kobe fans, right? He probably sees what Kobe fans say where, you know, Shaq was a bit overrated. Shaq was great, but Shaq dominated mostly because the other great centers were falling off and retiring, right? Is there some truth to that? I wouldn't say there's truth to that because Shaq was dominating when all those guys were playing. But as far as winning and succeeding and dominating the league, well, then, you know what I'm saying, that's a different story. Because to me, it wasn't until Patrick Ewing and David Robinson and Akeem Olajuwon, it wasn't until all those guys, those centers got old and gray that Shaq started dominating. Because before that, if you go back to 1999, and I remember this, Shaq was seen as a loser. Shaq was seen as Wilt Chamberlain to the 10th power. Shaq was getting swept every year. He got swept out of the playoffs in 94, in 95, in 96, in 98, in 99, and lost 4-1 in 97. He couldn't win a playoff series. And he was underperforming compared to how he should be performing. Until this Kobe Bean Bryant stepped up. Okay? So, you know, I have a hard time seeing Tracy McGrady winning, you know what I'm saying, 3 in a row. I mean, I don't know. Who knows how those series would have gone down? Those Laker teams were so great. So maybe the spread is a little bit less. Maybe. I don't know. Because it wasn't like Shaq was going up against great centers for the most part, outside of Mutombo, but Mutombo was kind of done as far as his peak was concerned. So I don't know. Maybe. What I do know is that I doubt that Tracy McGrady would replicate what what Kobe Bryant did after Shaq left. That I don't think he would do. I don't think he could do that. I don't think that he could tutelage and help push another great player or another good player to help become a great player. I don't think he could do for Pau Gasol what Kobe did for Pau Gasol. I don't think he could show leadership and also show the all-around game and step up. And when the shot's not falling in, do other things out there on the floor to be a leader. People keep talking about how, Kobe played like shit in Game 7 in 2010. But do you look at the defensive side of the ball? Did you see how he shut down Ray Allen at the 3 of 13 shoot? Did you see how he grabbed 15 rebounds in that game? A game high, if I'm not mistaken? A guard? Kobe Bryant was a utility man that did what he had to do. Whether it was scoring 40 or 50 points, whether it was going out there and getting a triple-double. Didn't do that often, but he could do it. Whether it was going out there and taking on the toughest defensive assignment and shutting down that player and helping, you know what I'm saying, even if his shot wasn't falling, going around and guarding the other player's most potent weapon and shutting them down. Or rocking the boards like Rodman. if need be. That's what Michael Jordan did. That's what being an all-around great player is. Doing what needs to be done. Not going out there and just having the ball in your hands and padding your numbers. That doesn't necessarily make you a great all-around player. Makes you a stat padder. So look, man, I'm kind of, I don't know, man. I get it. Shaq will say what he want to say. You could say that he's just being real or whatever. Say he kind of agree with Gilbert Arenas' take. But to me, I kind of find that disloyal. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's your dude. Like, Kobe's the reason, partially the reason why you're in the Hall of Fame. But Shaq probably resents some of that shit. He resents people saying, "Oh, well, you got those rings because of Dwayne Wade, and you got those rings because of Kobe being Bryant." You know what I'm saying? He probably resents shit like that. So a lot of these dudes are revising history. Also, I got to make a point about something else. He said that Kobe rarely got double teamed because teams were doubling and triple teaming him, right? But if that was the case, Shaq, how were you averaging 40 and 20 in those finals? Don't get me wrong, there were times when teams did double him when he was like dominated, when he was having a tomato can, a complete total tomato can against them. Sometimes, what I'm saying, especially if their front line was getting in foul trouble. Yeah. But it was so much easier just to send Shaq to the foul line. So that's crazy. Like him saying, well, Kobe was rarely getting double and triple team. Trace McGrady was getting double and triple team. Okay, really? Okay. That's some fucked up shit to me, man. And that goes to show you that he still harbors some resentment toward Kobe getting all this love and him not, even in death. Even in death. That's fucked up to me. And him insinuating that Steph, he'd be more effective with Steph, I don't know about all that. Because Steph wouldn't be the same player then. Steph is not Stockton. Steph is not Gary Payton. Yes, Steph could shoot, but he wouldn't be the same, shooting for the logo Steph Curry 20 years ago. So, I don't know about all that. But anyway, tell what you guys think.